the Silver Jubilee sculpture, 1977, when a commission came out and plucked the young Valenti Patel from some remote corner of beautiful Herefordshire and made him into a national figure in sculpture. And I'm thrilled myself because whenever I come into the House of Commons, it's not just with a sense of delight and awe at Big Ben or the Westminster Hall or the Chamber of the Commons itself. It's because I know that when I come into New Palace Yard, I'm passing this sculpture by a great Herefordian, by Valenti, my friend, and celebrating him, and a sculpture which everyone can see wherever they come to visit the House of Commons. And so I celebrate him, and it's a delight to be able to do so here.
That Jubilee sculpture was the core of our sales activity. Hey, this is the Jubilee sculpture under Big Ben, owned by the Queen.
The statue, 20 feet tall and weighing 2.5 tons, will take pride of place outside the Houses of Parliament. Valenti Patel himself lives in this 16th century black and white timbered hall in the depths of Herefordshire, where he can draw inspiration from the animals and birds around him. The Jubilee statue was the biggest work he's ever tackled.
I went through about 3 or 4 pairs of trousers because all the sparks sort of drop onto your trousers and onto your socks, and I looked a fantastic mess, in fact, after a while, and people really realized that I was working hard. But I found I did have to spend 15-hour sort of stretches and maybe getting 2 or 3 hours sleep at night. Sort of after a while, I couldn't lift it at all. And so I was lying on the floor of my studio, trying to get the proportions.
To go even a fraction more back.
It needed about 5 or 6 people to actually move the sculpture. And eventually we started getting the whole proportion, the sculpture into shape.
I think that might be the right angle there. I'll just weld that on quickly.
The statues, of course, need to be weatherproof and free of rust. So after sandblasting and cleaning with acid, the pieces had to be dipped in a bath of zinc, and later they were sprayed with a matte black paint. Mr. Patel regrets just one thing. Although his sculpture looks imposing, there's something missing. He had intended to put a small London sparrow somewhere on the sculpture, but working right till the last minute, there just wasn't the time for it.
There was a decision made by the Fine Arts Committee, or the Works of Art Committee at the Palace of Westminster. That's the ones who look after the fine arts procurement for the House of Commons, that it would be nice if there was to be a gift made by members of the Commons to the Queen in recognition of her Silver Jubilee in 1977. And that's where I picked up the story, because in the tea room, after Prime Minister's questions probably was, when people gather in the tea room to chat, there was a conversation, and various names were being bandied around. So I earwigged, I suppose, the best way of putting that, so that's interesting. Then when I heard that Valenti Patel's name was up, but nobody knew his work. So I wasted no time, and I thought, I will go back and collect my pieces, and they can see. So I leapt into the car, drove, about 4 o'clock by that time, drove straight home to Herefordshire here, put them in the back of the car, and drove back again. So I guess it was 10 o'clock by the time I got, just in time for the late night division, for the 10 o'clock division, the vote. And then at that vote, during the division process, I was able to corral the various members of the committee and say, you weren't aware of Valenti's work, I've got some in my car, come and have a look. The Department of the Environment were notoriously skint at the time. Getting any money out of the Department of the Environment was nightmarish, but they were doing New Palace Yard. The car park had been finished and they were about to start planting the trees, so it was, the moment was appropriate. But then I approached every member of the House of Commons, and I'm pleased to say that everybody subscribed something, with the exception of one member who resolutely refused to accept anything to do with the Queen. Therefore, 649 members subscribed and one didn't. But we raised the money, and then afterwards I had a little left over, so those who had subscribed £100 or more, I was able to commission a photograph of the Jubilee Fountain to recognise their contribution. And I think they enjoyed doing that.